You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. This is the Sunday Morning Fantasy Football Tailgate, and we are here just simply to answer any questions that you got. Start, sits. Let's talk about some of these games going on, all of that kind of good stuff there. So, again, any questions, anything like that, throw them out there. Let's go ahead and chat about these things. Get you guys the info that you need to rock and roll here, and try and bring home cash and trophies, right? Week 5 is very much upon us here. That's the week that we are in here. Games already kicked off, right? You already had the Thursday game, which don't get me started on that one. That was a whole thing in itself on the Thursday game there, and having to continually seeming to watch our Denver Broncos in those primetime games not doing anything. But so yes, like I said, don't get me started. We'll be here all day on just chatting about the inadequacies of the Denver Broncos here. So and that's not going to help anybody for fantasy today. So that game's already over and done and played with. So let's go ahead and let's start looking forward to week 5 here. All right. So all of that being said, we're live here for you. We got the rankings up on the website there, Good Old Boys FF.com. You can see the weekly rankings there, see who we may be like a little bit higher, a little bit lower, all that kind of good stuff there. So again, any questions, throw them out there in the chat. Let's go ahead and chat about this thing, get you guys ready to rock and roll there. And interesting slate of matchups this week, right? Like we went through a little bit of that on the Friday show, but seeing some very different things out there when it comes to kind of how I see these things playing out there. I'm not as optimistic that we're going to see many actual points scored in the NFL this week as we have in weeks past here. So I think there's going to be a little bit opportunity for scoring this week, certainly when it's all said and done there. And you guys can always connect with us on the socials there as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. One of the best ways to support this independent podcast, hit up the YouTube channel, the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. Really working hard on trying to get to that 1,000 mark subscriber deal. Trying to monetize that, keep some of the costs down on this thing, as well as, keep bringing y'all great free content out there. So, that's one of the best ways to support this independent podcast. So, but you guys looking at there's the game going on in London right now. Packers, Giants. That's kind of the game that we thought it would be right now. There's not a whole lot of high scoring kind of back and forth there. The Packers just kind of seem to be doing what they want to do. The Giants keeping it close enough type of thing. And so really just hoping in that one that we see a few more points here where see the Giants keep it within that 8 points, see the over hit, and see Aaron Rodgers and Saquon both hit their over on their props there, which called for to happen here on the Friday show. So that's kind of what I'm rooting for here out of this first game. Lots of inactives going on as well for the week ahead here. We just saw Julio get announced that he won't be back this week. Michael Thomas ruled out there as well. So there's lots of pivots, potential ways to need to maneuver, go through some of that. And again, if you have any questions about who to start, who to sit, all that kind of good stuff, throw them out there. Let's talk about them. Let's get you guys set, ready to rock and roll for your fantasy lineups here. Also saw that Isaiah McKenzie officially ruled out there in the Buffalo-Pittsburgh game. I know that that's one that a lot of folks were kind of considering as a flex option there, especially with Jamison Crowder having hit the IR a little bit ago. So that makes that one an easy decision if you were debating back and forth between a potential Isaiah McKenzie and someone else. The someone else is the better option there. We already said that Julio is fully out on that one. Let's see who else on some of these things kind of popping through. Logan Thomas, that was a late game scratch there, so that's going to have some folks pivoting and needing to move there as well. It looks like we're going to see some different things here. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start off here with some of the the rankings as far as kind of how I'm seeing this and how I'm kind of ranking these things out here. We'll start off here over in the quarterback room. Jalen Hurts, yeah, I've got him as QB1 this week. A lot of folks, would be a little surprised by that. Josh Allen is definitely the consensus QB1 this week going up against Pittsburgh. Josh Allen's actually my number 4 QB this week, and that will come as surprising to some folks out there. But the logic behind that one is I think that this Buffalo and Pittsburgh game is going to be over well into the third quarter, to the point where you're going to see Buffalo potentially run the ball more than we typically see them do. I don't know that you're going to see them really try and keep throwing the ball there. The spread on that one is a 14-point spread, so it's a massive spread on this game. And I think Buffalo can cover that as well. Like it's a massive spread, but I think that we're going to cover it. I think we're going to see a lower scoring game than even the folks out in Vegas anticipate on this one. So yeah, I kind of see the under on this one. I see Buffalo covering on this one, and I see if those two game scripts play out there, you're going to see Josh Allen without the ball in his hands in about the third and fourth quarter there. So, yeah, is he able to put up enough to put a QB1 overall finish on the week in through 2.5, 3 quarters? I don't think so. So that's kind of where that comes to play. So yeah, Jalen Hurts there. I got Patrick Mahomes as number 2. A lot of folks, it's a little bit higher than a lot of other folks out there. A lot of folks have him at kind of that 4-5 type of range there. And Mahomes playing up against Vegas this week. That the Raiders, the Chiefs, that should be a little bit of a higher scoring affair, right? We've got that as the primetime game this week, the Monday night game here. And I do think that I did call for Patrick Mahomes to hit the over on that one. So I think that we're going to see him on his passing yards there. So I do think that we're going to see some good things there. And I think we're going to be able to see him rock and roll that one and be able to put up some good points there. And number 3, got Lamar Jackson out there for QB3. Playing Cincinnati, he should be able to do enough both on the ground, through the air, that I think you'll see him be able to pull out a QB3 on this one. So very confident on that one. Feel pretty good about that. Joe Burrow is a guy that I've got up there as QB number 5, and comment coming in from the Stacks app. Let's go, boys. Absolutely. Let's go get week 5 here, and let's go ahead and get some wins here. Joe Burrow, I've got him as number 5 going up against Cincinnati. I'm sorry, going up against Baltimore. And I think that you're going to see him ultimately do some good things. Baltimore's been a little bit suspect through the air, through the passing defense there. So I think we're going to see some good things there. Tom Brady is an interesting one there. I've got him slightly above the consensus rankings out there. I've got him at QB6 playing Atlanta. I do think that, again, this is another big spread, about 10 points. I do think that you're going to see the Bucs be able to cover that thing. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a late cover on that one. You'll probably see them go up by about that 10 points partway through the fourth quarter and just be able to hang on to that one there. So, but Atlanta's passing offense or passing defense also a bit suspect there. And I think we can see some good things there. Justin Herbert, I'm a little bit lower on than a lot of their folks out there. Cleveland has a decent pass rush. The weather reports actually turned out fairly decent from what I could see on that one. There was suspected a little bit of winds, some of that swirling kind of going on there over in Cleveland. But I do think that you're going to see a little bit of a closer chess match game here between Cleveland and the Chargers. And I think that you're going to be able to see Cleveland try and control the clock there a little bit, just running the ball there. So a little bit lower game, I think, for Justin Herbert. Derek Carr, got him as number 8 this week. And so Derek Carr running out there against Kansas City. They're going to have to throw the ball there a little bit. Kansas City's given up some work on the ground there this season, but I don't think we're going to see a repeat of a career performance out of Josh Jacobs here. I think Josh Jacobs will get his. He'll do all right, but you're going to see Derek Carr really have to step up and try and throw the ball to bring that thing home there. The Thursday night game, I was much higher on what I thought Russell Wilson would be able to do. Had a decent showing in yardage. I guess the 2 interceptions certainly didn't help him play anything out there. Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence round out my 10, 11, 12 on QB1 rankings this week. So, there's some interesting things there, some interesting plays there. But I do think that we're going to see some good football through these matchups here, and I think we'll be able to see these guys finish QB1. And so again, guys, if you have any questions, start sits, anything like that, let's go ahead and throw those in the chat, and let's go ahead and talk through those things and help you guys get ready, set to rock and roll here for your NFL Week 5 fantasy football. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go ahead and head on into the running back rankings here. Actually, you know what? We're going to head right over to the tight ends. We're going to take a look at tight ends first, and then we'll get into some of the running backs and the wide receivers. Leadership Lessons is asking, Kirk Cousins, is he a start for fantasy? Well, Kirk Cousins, I think that you're going to see an okay game out of Kirk Cousins. I'm a little bit lower myself on him than the consensus rankings out there. Consensus would have him at QB 10. I've got him down there at QB 13. Playing against Chicago, I think you're going to see Chicago try and grind this ball out a little bit, really try and slow roll things here a little bit more. So this is going to be a lower scoring affair, I do believe. And I do think that Kirk Cousins will be startable for you, but it's going to depend very much more so on who your options are at quarterback, right? If it's Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, I'd take Kirk Cousins this week. If it's Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, I'm going to take Derek Carr in that scenario. So it just depends, kind of relative to all things there. It just depends on who else is in position to start for you on that one. So if you got a specific one, start, sit, they'll throw it out there. Let me know, and we'll talk through that. We'll go through that one. So looking over at the tight ends as far as rankings go, I got Kelsey 1, Andrews 2, Higbee 3, Waller, Ertz, and Hawkinson 4, 5, 6. Then I've got Goddard, Conklin, Kittle as 7, 8, 9, David Njoku, Gerald Everett, Pat Freiermuth rounding out the top 12 there. And again, that's one of those that it's a little interesting there, because I know that I was a little bit higher on some of these guys than some others out there. And it's let me go over to these tight ends here. So like tight ends, I'm much higher on Tyler Higbee, right? Most folks have him about QB 7. I'm sorry, tight end 7. I've got him all the way up at tight end 3. I think that he's going to have a very good game, right? Like, you look at this Rams offense, there's only 2 seemingly weapons that they have to go through the passing attack for Matt Stafford, and that's one Mr. Cooper Kupp, the other is Tyler Higbee there. So I think Tyler Higbee will get his, do well. Some other guys that I was higher on, outside of the top 12 there. So, getting into some of those streaming type of options there. Daniel Bellinger, that one's already going on there. I think that he'll do okay there. Mike Gesicki, another guy that could potentially do that. A little bit lower on Gesicki at the moment, though. With it looking like both Waddle and Tyreek are going to play there. So I don't know that I'm necessarily as high on him at the moment as I was, last night, kind of going into some of these rankings, and that'll get adjusted. But if you're playing Mike Gesicki to begin with, you were throwing darts on that one and probably not looking to really go that route. All righty, let's go ahead and we're going to take a look over here at the running backs as far as kind of how some of these things play out here, and we'll just kind of go through some of the guys that I see in the top 24. Running back 1, 2 areas that I'm much higher on in some of these. Alvin Kamara, consensus ranked at 13. I've got him at running back 8. I think that he's going to do some things. I think Andy Dalton being back under center actually potentially unleashes some of his pass catching abilities. And I think that we're going to see some good things there. Najee Harris, I think that he's just going to get a workloaded enough that we're going to see him be able to pull out a running back 2 performance. Just a couple spots ahead of consensus rankings on that one. David Montgomery, the late addition here. He was potentially questionable heading into this thing. Looks like he is going to start. So I've got no problem plugging and playing him in a lineup there, and would rock and roll that one. I do see that he could potentially get inside of a running back 2 performance this week. Guys that I am lower on when it comes to consensus rankings, Aaron Jones, folks I've got him ranked at 13th, so just outside your RB1. He's having an okay game out there in the London town right now, but that was lower than the consensus. Christian McCaffrey going up against a very stout, very tough San Francisco rush defense, and I've got him all the way down at like running back 14, which is much, much lower than the consensus out there. Jamal Williams, who has been kind of a fantasy darling out there for folks and really doing some big things out there. Again, up against a tougher New England defense. I think that that's a game that we're going to see these two teams really kind of grind it out. I think you're going to see Bill Belichick really try and take the ball out of the hands of Bailey Zappi, who's likely, who sounds like is going to be the starting quarterback there. So, more of a conservative play calling on offense, try and really grind that thing down and bring that thing home on the ground. Let his defense try and put them in decent field position there. And if you're going to try and go up against that matchup, the Lions are the team to try and do that against, right? Slow them down on offense. And the way you slow them down on offense is take the ball out their hands and keep it in your hands with your offensive unit there and running the ball. Detroit's been very forgiving against opposing running backs there. You've got two monsters there with Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson that can just ground and pound this thing out. So I think that Jamal Williams will underperform his projections and his consensus rankings there as well. So, but as far as the actual rankings go, let's go ahead and head in there real quick. For top 12, I got Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, Alvin Kamara, James Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and Dameon Pierce, all rounding out my top 12 there. So go ahead and head on over into the wide receivers here. And the wide receivers, when it comes to the rankings, top 12, I'm seeing this one: Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, 1, 2, 3, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Debo as 4, 5, 6, Mike Evans at 7, Tyreek at 8, Cortland Sutton, I had him locked in there at 9. That one, scores a touchdown. It changes many things there, but I have a feeling that that'll end up being a miss when it's all said and done. Devontae Adams, 10, CD at 11, and Marquise Hollywood Brown at number 12. So, some good things there. I do think that we're going to see some very fun kind of matchups there and some different things play out there. As far as guys that I'm higher on, guys that I'm lower on, kind of compared against some of the consensus there. Marquise Hollywood Brown, I'm higher on him than most, right? The consensus would have him as wide receiver 16. I've got him at 12, so I do think that we're going to see some step up there. Chris Olave, I've got him at number 13. The consensus would have him at 17. I'm still haven't seen Jarvis, the news on Jarvis break yet, whether he's going to be fully active or not. But, we did see Olave catch a touchdown off of Andy Dalton last week. And he continued to look to him, not necessarily the same way that Jameis was looking for him, but I do think that we're going to see some good usage out of Chris Olave, and you're going to be able to see him have some good weeks here as well. So I think we're going to see some good things there. As far as consensus that I'm a little bit lower on, both Devontae Adams, T. Higgins make that list this week. Devontae Adams consensus has him at 6. I've got him at 10, so still wide receiver 1 finish this week, and I think that he will have a good game. I'm just a little bit higher on some of the ceilings on some other guys that I moved ahead of him. T. Higgins, consensus has him at 10. I've got him at 15. I do think that you're going to see Cincinnati put up points in this one, and I do think that you're going to see Cincinnati move the ball through the air. I just see this one being a little bit more of a Jamar Chase week this week than a T. Higgins week. So I think that you've got some good things there as well. Devin Duvernay is another guy that to be on the lookout for. Rashad Bateman is out, and you could see some big things come to play with Devin Duvernay kind of being that wide receiver 1 for Baltimore this week. And look out for Mark Andrews to have another good game here as well with Bateman missing. So Because that's kind of how we see the rankings, how we kind of go through some of that. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, go ahead and throw them out here and we will rock and roll and we'll get you guys your questions answered here for some of your fantasies and really kind of rock and roll through that. Now, there's some other things here looking at it. Let's just take a look here at the so Jarvis Landry has been officially ruled out now. I see that one coming through. So full steam ahead on Chris Olave here. Let's take a look at the running backs. Any other misses there? David Montgomery is a full go. I just saw that. Jameis is officially ruled out. Mac Jones is officially ruled out. So officially now we will see Bailey Zappi get the start for New England, and we will see Andy Dalton get the start for the Saints. So some things to be aware of there is, be very cognizant of your wide receivers that you've got for New England. I do think that you're going to see Zappi really, I think they're going to get very conservative with the play calling for him. And really, this one wouldn't surprise me if we see something a la what the Patriots did against the Bills last year in that snowstorm where we saw Mac Jones throw the ball 3 times was it. I could absolutely see something like that come into play. And we could see some of that where I'm not calling for Bailey Zappi to get 3. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying that I think that you're going to see Bailey Zappi have a more conservative play calling agenda there. And you're going to see it where, does he get to 20 pass attempts? That could be a stretch there. So this could be very much a ground and pound, and we see New England run the ball 30 to 40 times in this game. And that would lead me to pivot off of guys like, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, although you shouldn't be starting Devontae Parker anyway. But Kendrick Bourne is another guy that I would be pivoting off of there as well. Jonnu Smith is out. Normally, I would be like, hey, let's look at Hunter Henry there, right? Like we have a much bigger role for him at this point. But again, rookie QB making his first ever starts. Hunter Henry would be a desperation play for me at that point. I wouldn't be looking to necessarily roll that. So. Well, guys, I do believe that's going to take us down here to the end of it. If you have any questions, anything like that, go ahead and throw them in the comments. Let's go ahead and chat them out and let's talk about it. And if not, you can find us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Good Old Boys FF. Find us over on the YouTube channel, the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel. Again, that's the best way to support this independent podcast. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell when we go, get those notices when we go live over there. But, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for us here. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. We can hit it up. We can rock and roll, and we'll get you those answers. For the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast, I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.